name is Hillary. I just kind of want to speak from the heart for a minute. I was the photographer at Mythicist Milwaukee MythCon, and I want to clarify some things that have been brought up in a couple of live streams now. I mean, most importantly, you never get a second chance at making a first impression, and some people are talking about my first impression with Thomas Smith, and truthfully that was my story to tell, or Thomas's story, not really somebody else's. And it was originally brought up in Sargon of Akkad's live stream, and it was recounted rather falsely. But people are inherently flawed, and memory is flawed, so I can't fault him for not remembering my story from my point of view. And I think it's really important that I get my version of the story out there instead of just going based off of hearsay. Thomas Smith and I talked at the VIP party. I approached him. He did not approach me. I approached him to thank him for returning back and coming to the VIP party and talking with people. I think it's really important that even if you're in a room of people who you disagree with, to be able to have open dialogue with them. So I wanted to thank him for that. And somehow the conversation turned to him loudly asking me if I agree with sexually harassing women online. And no, of course I don't agree with that. Obviously he was referencing the tweet that Sargon made. It personally did not affect me. It did not bother me. But I can see that it's inappropriate. And I'm not gonna go in any further into that. But when Thomas was loudly talking to me, it felt like he was yelling at me, and it made me really uncomfortable. It gave me an anxiety attack. I have a lot of anxiety. I'm a very anxious person, and yeah, it bothered me. I walked away feeling really confused, really hurt, because I didn't understand how the conversation got there. I was talking to Carl about it afterwards, Sargon of Akkad, and I was just kind of venting because I was frustrated. I didn't understand how things got that way. And I think what's really important is I am the kind of person that I don't think a first impression is everything. I've had several instances myself where I've made a horrible first impression and I wanted nothing more than to be able to refute that, but I've never been given the opportunity in some cases. And I reached out to Thomas afterwards, I think it was the Monday after the conference, and I talked to him. And he felt awful. He never wanted to make me feel unsafe, and he went on to explain to me that more than half the people who approached him there were telling him how much they hated him, and I can really empathize with that. Sorry, my cat just did something funny. I can really empathize with that, because growing up I was heavily bullied, and I would come home and I would be just absolutely awful to my parents, and I would lash out at them and I would take it out on them when they did nothing wrong. And the reality is, if I was in a room full of people who were approaching me and being hostile, and I had no way of knowing who was being hostile, I might have reacted similarly. And I can't fault him for that. Other people have. And I don't hold any animosity towards him for this, and I really don't want other people holding animosity towards him on my behalf. That's just not fair, and I just wanted to get my feelings out there so that hopefully people quit talking about it. Unfortunately, this is the internet, and they're probably still going to talk about it, but at least now they have a more accurate description of what went on